Oh shit.
Right. Get that, nigga. Somebody try to tell you something, chill the fuck out. Now you got it.
Kolay la ya başıma arkadaş tabi anasını fazla Ellsgrim Millstone Pizza Station Hopeful Like Shalom. And as you can see in the video, that girl, she pretty much got almost kidnapped by some guy that happens to be, you know, in the all white, some big guy too at that. And pretty much, you know, she was lucky to have a couple guys that pretty much jumped in and saved her life. And these women don't really understand, in Jacob's trouble, you ain't gonna have that same assistance that you have now, where you get to, you know, pretty much panic and scream for help and try to run away, you know, trying to run into a crowd of people and get assistance. That shit is going to be over with very soon in the times that we coming into. And, you know, of course, you pretty much are not dressed in a modest apparel. You know, a lot of times you women have clothing that's very revealing. And it really goes to show how, you know, careless you women are. You know, you have a lot of skin showing. Usually you wear dresses that, you know, clothing that pretty much reveals your cleavage, that reveals your camel toes, your pretty much your thighs and your legs and all that. You know, pretty much show a lot of skin, way more that needs to be revealed. And it's like to the point where y'all are so comfortable revealing so much skin that, you know, practically a man can already tell how you look when you're naked, because it's like, you know, you reveal too much with the clothing that you already wear. And, you know, very soon, times that we coming into, it's going to be a time where you women are just going to know the modest apparel law that it mentions, that you're supposed to, you know, of course, be, you know, dressed from, you know, like the head to the toe, being covered, you know, from your hair, and then even from your shoulders down to your you know, to your feet. You know, that law is going to be common sense in the times that we coming into, because very soon when a man just finds you out in the street, you know, and they see that you're a beautiful woman, and that time you have no protection and you're not covered at all, yeah, they're gonna come after you. And it says in this article from the CBS News, it says video shows Good Samaritan stops assault on Brooklyn subway platform. This is on July 4th, 2025. It says that this article was posted by Christy Kelishian. It says police say bystanders came to a 20-year-old woman's rescue after she was assaulted on a subway platform in Brooklyn. The incident was caught on video and has since got millions of views on TikTok. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. It happened on the J train platform at the Norwood Avenue station Sunday morning. Witness Rondell Whitfield was on his way to church when he said he saw a woman screaming as a man grabbed her. I had no other choice but to interfere to see what the situation was, Whitfield said. Video shows witnesses yelling at the man to let her go. I said, "Brother, please just let the lady go. You know what I'm saying? Let the lady go." He's like, "No." He just started being real barbaric. Like, I've never seen nothing like that in my life, Whitfield said. Police say the woman managed to escape the man's grip, as at least 5 people, including Whitfield, held him down. The Good Samaritan stayed with the man, who police identified as 42-year-old Frederick Marshall of Queens. He has been charged with 2 counts of third-degree criminal possession of a weapon, third-degree assault, and second-degree harassment. You can't just watch and do nothing. The woman's mother, who doesn't want to be identified, was able to rush over and says Marshall didn't resist officers when he was later arrested. She was just saying, "Mom, he's trying to take me, and I'm trying to trying to run to her as fast as I can, but when I got to the train station, the MTA clerk had her in the booth safe," the mother said. The witness, who took the video, which now has at least 5 million views on TikTok, told CBS New York in Spanish, "There are still people with a good heart who help those in need. You can't just watch and do nothing. It could have been my sister, my mother." Police say the 20-year-old victim complained of shoulder pain and suffered minor injuries to her stomach and arms. Her mom says she's traumatized, but that she's since been able to go to work. For now, she expresses her gratitude. "I'm very grateful for those that were there helping my daughter. I am so grateful, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have my child today," the mother said. So, pretty much with that being said, I'll just bring out some scripture. Lord willing, makes us edify. And of course, in Isaiah 32 verse 9, it says, "Rise up, you women that are at ease, and hear my voice, you careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, you careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, you women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you, make you bear and gird sackcloth upon your loins, they shall lament for the deeds, for the pleasant fields with the fruit of vine." And you see, with that being said, you women, you're gonna really see these men coming back to that, that barbaric nature that they originally had. I'm just saying, like how in the ancient world, how women had to pretty much dress in a modest apparel. They had to pretty much be chaperoned by men, because if you were just like unchaperoned by men, and if you was dressing pretty much like like a harlot, without any male protection, it's open season for your ass. And you don't have to worry about one man trying to come after you. It's going to be multiple men trying to come after you that you're going to have to worry about. And you see, one thing about men is that in their nature, they just want to get their rocks off. They're not going to have no morals like the men of the Lord and be like, we want to get with a woman and have that woman that we're going to deal with one for ourselves, at a time, I'm saying, like, to the point where of course, being a man of the Lord, you're not gonna have it to where she's gonna be able to do a threesome with 2 guys and you gonna be one of them sharing. Nah, you ain't gonna do that at all. For the most part, because that's completely going way the hell off. And that's something freak shit that niggas in the world wouldn't really care about doing, as long as they're getting their rocks off. And that's the spirit a lot of those niggas are gonna be in in that time. If you already see how, or hear stories about how they do these things and really don't even care, because let's be for real, that shit is really gay to see another man's nakedness, even though y'all both fucking a woman. And it kind of is a little bit defiled and filthy, dealing with these women that already have been pretty much defiled by dealing with multiple male partners in the past, because they still have that DNA of those other men. But let's just say that with men that don't have this understanding, and that's in the world, even of our nation, they're just going to not give a fuck, and they're just going to basically do whatever they can to get their rocks off. And as you can see how barbaric this nigga was, it's to the point where, he really tried to grab her in broad daylight. Just imagine if it was in the nighttime. And you do find women out there walking in the night. They're very fucking careless. I'm just saying, if I was a woman, I'd be scared to do the shit that they do. They dressing, showing off their bodies in a way. They're wearing all type of clothing that shows, their curves, and to the point where you could only imagine how their body looks when they're naked and things of that nature. Like, just from what you see, how much they're revealing with the clothes that they already wear. It really shows you the careless spirit that they have. And the reason why they go out doing this is because they could get help from other men. All they have to do is just scream and yell help, and they get a bunch of men to run to their aid, being called good Samaritans. And very soon it's going to come to a point in time where that good Samaritan spirit is just going to be a thing of the past, because you're going to have so much issues like this going on, and a lot of men are just going to basically fend for themselves, because you women are just going to be pretty much a setback, and you're going to also be considered as a liability in that time. And pretty much your greatest defense mechanism, like I believe Apostle Gabar mentioned, and I know other brothers have mentioned it as well, and the truth is that the greatest defense a woman has is her voice, her scream. It's like a prey animal, like what prey animals do when they get caught up by a predator. You see how they shriek and how they scream for help or whatever before they pretty much get mauled by the predator. That's pretty much how women are, in a way. When they get snatched up, they get kidnapped and all that, they pretty much start screaming for help. And like I said, because this society, you have 911, and then you got these simp ass men out here that still have that good Samaritan spirit, that want to intervene when your ass is supposed to be judged. Of course, the Lord, sometimes he lets it rock, and allow the good Samaritans to help you. But, sometimes just to show you a little lesson on, why you shouldn't be unchaperoned or so. But it's going to very soon be a consistent thing. It's not only going to be like a thing like this. It's going to happen every very few, once in a blue moon or so. Nah, it's going to be a thing in Jacob's Trouble where this thing's going to happen consistently. So you women could really understand that why you really need to be accompanied by a man, and chiefly why you need to be with a man of the Lord for the most part. Because very soon in Jacob's Trouble, you're going to hear women screaming like this on a consistent basis. Almost every day you're going to hear a woman screaming and yelling for help, and nobody's going to be out there to help her. You're just going to have a lot of men with that vicious savage like spirit that's just going to help themselves and pleasing themselves, and pretty much snatching your woman up and tossing your ass in a circle, and for them to do whatever they will with you, whatever they please, and having their way with you. This is Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 30. says, "When thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rentest thy face with painting, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair. Thy lovers will despise thee, they will seek thy life. For I have heard as a voice as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is weary because of murderers." And that's basically what these women are going to be, screaming out. That's symbolic to how you women are going to be pretty much yelling and screaming, running for your life. You're going to be, ducking from a lot of these men that's going to pretty much be, coming after you. And it's going to be men that, more than likely, you could tell that woman has been a woman that has rejected a lot of men, middle school and high school and things of that nature. And pretty much even her current age, they said, is 20. So more than likely she has rejected men, even to this day, playing men, leading them on, even financially benefiting off of, running games with guys and things of that nature, and not really committing to them, and doing what, she is supposed to promise, to do with the same men that have financially, given her certain things. And you see, that's how these women are. And you're gonna have a lot of men in that time that's just gonna be like doing what this nigga did. They're gonna be like, I'm tired of this shit, you know, and I'm just gonna come out of nowhere and just snatch your ass up. And had he done it in the night or so after she had gotten off the train and followed her, you know, he probably would have more than likely maybe succeeded, depending on how many people was around the area and things of that nature. But you definitely best believe that that man had a lust demon on him for him to even pull some shit off like that. And he was a big guy. It took like 5 men to beat his ass down, and you know, and keep him down. You know, just imagine if he had like a weapon on him, like a gun or so. He definitely would have used it on those guys. You know, and he already seemed like he had other charges or so, maybe had a rap sheet or so. So it seemed like, you know, this man didn't really have much to live for. And you do have a lot of men that's just like, you know, pretty much in that guy's situation. You know, he probably is one of those guys that's really sex deprived, and you know, it comes to the point in time where you're gonna have a lot of men like that that's gonna be lurking for you women out there. And I could tell that this woman, because you have men that have jumped, you know, to save her life like that, they haven't learned a damn thing. You know, these women that get in situations like that, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like there's still 911, you know, to call. You got police that will still come to the aid, and you also have these Captain Saberhole simps, you know, like in the video, you know, running to the lifeline to save this woman that they don't even know her, you know. And I remember one of the witnesses, it says in the article, you know, that took the video, he claimed that how there's, you know, still some people with a good heart, you know. And I mean, yeah, very soon, and we're already approaching those times where, you know, the love of many is waxing cold because iniquity shall abound, the scripture says. So you have to also keep that in mind. And as the love of many is waxing cold, you're gonna have more people becoming more wicked and more heartless. And at some point in due time, you know, they're just gonna turn out to be complete savages, doing way worse than what this guy did. Because all he did was just grab her, you know. And they claim that she, you know, she's suffered, you know, minor injuries to her stomach and arms, and she had shoulder pain, and you know, she was pretty much traumatized for what she had gone through, just for that moment of being grabbed. Well, I got news for you. Very soon, in the times that we coming into, Jacob's Trouble, you know, that's gonna be a Sesame Street of what's going to come to you women in that time of Jacob's Trouble, whatever that happened to that woman on that train. Because very soon you're gonna have men all type of times out the day that's just gonna be out there lurking to snatch you women up and do all type of, you know, crazy shit to you women. And I'm gonna bring out, you know, the last few precepts. It says in Titus 2nd chapter verse 3, it says, the aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as become of holiness, not false accusers, not giving so much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young woman to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. So yeah, you know, your woman is supposed to pretty much be a keeper at home, and you're supposed to also not only be a keeper at home, but you're supposed to be, you know, a teacher to the younger woman, and you're supposed to pretty much go as far as, you know, honoring a husband and, you know, doing what's right as the scripture saith. But no, instead y'all woman decides to, you know, be making your bodies a living sacrifice to Satan in the world, you know, which is the so-called white man, and y'all rather work for his companies, y'all rather, you know, go out and about and be a whore, in other words, 304, rather go on social media, show off your bodies, and going out to clubbing, partying, and just doing all type of wickedness. And the end result for that will be judgment. And in 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 14, it says, I would therefore that the young woman marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary, speak reproachfully, for some already turned aside after Satan. And that's going to showing you how, them turning aside after Satan, they're following after the ways of the world, following after what the so-called white man has, given them the freedom to do so, having the liberty to gather abroad. And like I said, you have no business being unchaperoned by, without a man, and this is the shit that happens. You become an easy target, even in broad daylight. But I tell you, let this country in America, let it become like a third world country, because in a third world country, it's already common sense that women are going to be all covered up, like in the Middle East, or like in some countries in like South Asia, so around those regions, or even some African countries. You're going to have it to where women are covered up. A lot of times they cover to the point where they don't even show their face, because they understand that anytime they show off like a portion of their beauty, that gives a lot of attention, and that's going to be unwanted attention, and eventually they're going to be a target to any man that lusts after her. So you women in America, you are to learn very soon that in the times we come into, you're going to basically be learning the hard way, and y'all just going to have to learn the hard way if y'all continuously be stubborn. And they say a hard head leads to a soft behind, so your ass is going to learn in that time. So with that being said, I hope I made us edifying. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shamalak Yahweh Shah, Bashem Kakadash, double honor to the apostles, great millstone, precision, to the whole full lecture alone.